Hey everybody, it's Derek here. Thanks as always for stopping by. So I had read this book well over a month ago in the heart of Black History Month. Haven't done any recording in quite a while. I tend to do these videos all at once and then, sort of release them intermittently throughout the month. So anyway, I want to talk about this one. Let's get right into it. Okay, so today we're talking about Autobiography of a Female Slave. Believe it or not, even though it shows a black girl on the cover here, and with a little bit of the deceptive last name, you would think it was written by a black person, but it's not. It was actually written by a white abolitionist. She was the daughter of a slave owner, quite a well-to-do slave owner, as I understand. And but she turned into a very vocal abolitionist. And many people, like, this was not a successful book back in its time. It was successful only in abolitionist circles. In fact, ran quite a deficit when she published this book. It was roundly criticized and dismissed by the broader public, which wasn't entirely her fault. Now, listen, here's the thing. Autobiography is definitely a misnomer in this case, but it's not exactly right to say it's a fiction either. She did know of this particular situation that she was writing about, Anne being the main character in this story. But it enjoyed a lot of success in abolitionist circles. And I think the way we have to approach this book, especially understanding so much that we do quite accurately, in fact, about the slave experience, the black experience, is kind of like Uncle Tom's Cabin. Obviously, it's written from the attitudes, the zeitgeist of the time. It definitely captured quite accurately the suffering of black slaves in that era. That part is very objective. We certainly can't revert back to kind of the plantation owner's perspective or the lost cause mythology that grew up certainly during the Civil War and, basically following the Civil War ever since. What has come to be the accepted history, even though Confederates lost, is something approximating what Gone with the Wind looked like. This highly idealized, romanticized version of slavery, very patriarchal, very paternalistic. I think if you're really going to defend that worldview, you're not in reality. So yes, we can't escape the fact that we're all prisoners living within our own time period. And, works like these are an artifact of the very same phenomenon in their time period. Even though we don't have a lot of the, facts in here that are able to be corroborated anymore or preserved, we've lost a lot of it to, the sands of time. If there had been an institution that could preserve the record without the social stigma, without all of the things working against the narrative that regular everyday black folks subscribed to and was objectively in line with reality. If there was an institution that could examine that at the time, then the record would even be better and a lot more damning. It would not have gone in the direction of Gone with the Wind, trust me there. But anyway, long story short, this was dismissed for the time. It was a financial liability to be published. The abolitionist cause ran with it, and like Harriet Beecher Stowe, even though that was definitely on the more fiction side of things, it was grounded in reality. She had known of specific instances that she was using to inspire the story of these characters. So while books like these, especially this one, is kind of controversial and not perhaps the best work to trot out to get a real understanding of what was going on at the time, I think it's a valuable resource, and as I've said before, if it's good enough for the abolitionists, it'll always be good enough for me. This is such a heartbreaking story. It does capture all of the complexity that tends to be lost to history. Like, as I've mentioned many times in the past, children being sold out from under their parents. One unique thing that I found about this book is it really zeroed in lots of the financial exploitation that happened to black people trying to find their freedom, trying to buy their freedom. How lots of these southern plantation owners or dealers or what have you, they would have these handshake deals with people trying to find their freedom. And then, of course, when the black slave fulfilled his end of the bargain, it was like, who the hell do you think you are, you uppity black person? You're a slave. You were born to be a slave. This was just to give you a different work opportunity and all that sort of thing. And I don't want to spoil the book, but that's, it certainly captures that sort of exploitation. And how at every level the plantation owner was protected, even if, for example, in the case of 12 Years a Slave by Solomon Northup, he did have the documentation to go along with it, and many corroborating elements to defend his story and the final legal battle that happened at the end of the book. It could very easily have gone the other way for him, and in many cases, other cases, it did go the other way, where, okay, sure, you had all the documentation and eyewitnesses and so on to prove manumission, or to prove that you were free at the outset and were kidnapped and sold into slavery, situations like that. Very often the institutions would just side with the slave owners unless everything was like irrefutable, like absolutely irrefutable. So there was a lot of innocence, and just about every advantage extended to white parties in these conflicts. This book is so heartbreaking, and it's just too bad that there wasn't an institution to really examine this and go the distance and verify and corroborate all the details that were in here. But I would highly recommend it. It's a tearjerker, just like the rest of those books in the box set I've referenced heavily lately. It's called In Their Own Voices. It's first-hand slave accounts. Includes people like Frederick Douglass, Solomon Northup, Booker T. Washington, Harriet James, and William Still with the Underground Railroad. So this fits right in there. I can't recommend this stuff enough. Go through the whole set if you can. If you have the time for it, you won't regret it. I was going to give you a lot more details, like background with this story, this particular woman, and that Browne is writing about. I think it's better for you to be surprised, but definitely put this on your radar. If you have read it, I'd love to hear from you about it. Maybe we can talk below in the comments. And until then, we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for stopping by. Hey everyone, I hope you liked this video. If you want more like the one you just watched, click the suggested video on this screen. Make sure you subscribe, and to connect with me on my other platforms, my handles are linked below in the description, alright? Take care, peeps. Till next time.